Hello, Camilla. You can hear me?
Hi, yes, I'm here. How are you?
I'm doing all
Yeah.
right. I'm doing all right. Is Nick also going to join, or is she?
Yes, he is. I just spoke with him. He's ready. He'll be joining in um, probably right now, I'm sure. Good
Okay.
morning. How are you today?
I'm very good. How are you?
Okay. I'm sharing screen. Should I not do that?
No, it's okay. Like it's something that I just needed for the recording. So
Okay.
it's up to you. I'm just in a difficult spot right now. That's the reason I'm not turning on my cam.
Okay,
I'm
but
home
can you
working.
see me so
Yeah,
you
yeah, I
know
can
who
see you.
you're
Yeah,
speaking to?
yeah,
Hi.
yeah. I can
Okay.
see you. Yeah. Okay. I also see Nick just joined in.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Okay.
You have a
So
charming voice. It's very nice to hear you.
thank you. Thank you very much. So how's it going? As far as the whole COVID situation, and how are you being affected so far?
Well, I hate to, it's sad to say, there's, three sides of it. There's the political side, which is very frustrating in this country. So let's just leave that at that. And so we're embarrassed for our situation. And, okay, well, we put that aside. It's very sad. We're at 100,000 people. So we feel really empathetic for everybody in our country and around the world who are suffering. Unfortunately, there are so many people dedicated to helping people who are suffering. But that's not my job right now to help them. But what is our job is to help the industry, move forward, and help as an entrepreneur, I think help build the next world for after COVID. And I think we really feel, responsible for helping to build the next world. So we have dug deep and stayed focused, and we're excited about helping to build that next world. So we're excited about that.
Okay, cool. Um, we are
So
based in Belgium, and
I just have a note from Nick saying he's still waiting. By the way.
okay. I admitted all. It looks like he tried to join from multiple different instances.
Uh huh.
Uh, yeah, I think he's
There he.
now in. Yeah, there you go.
Yes. There. Okay. Yeah.
Hello, Nick. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he's in Ann Arbor. He's in another place.
Yeah. It looks like there are two instances that he tried to join, and both of them looks
Um,
like it's being it's there. But
I'll leave him
otherwise,
a note.
yeah.
I'll tell him to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Um,
Yes.
so I'm looking at our location here in Belgium, and
Yeah.
we are also sort of affected like many other countries and also our neighboring countries.
Mhm.
However, the good thing is that we are getting back to normal. Again, the schools have started to reopen and partially and so forth, which is great on its own.
Mhm. Mhm.
But the challenge now we are seeing is people are skeptical about the whole new opening situations, right? So
Mhm.
there's a whole nervousness around people, and there is a trust deficit, and I guess that's our new
Oh,
normal. That's our new normal,
yes.
and
Oh,
perhaps we are trying to redefine our new normal. So that's where we are at.
yeah. Yeah. We're not there yet now.
Yeah.
We don't have that new normal. We're fighting the Enlightenment again
Yeah.
here. So we've wound our clock back, unfortunately. Um, so we're waiting until after the election, and hopefully we'll have another new normal. So we're looking forward. Let's
Okay,
just
good
say
luck
that.
with that. Okay,
You
I would
just
like
lost
to
half
start.
your.
I would like to start your journey. I want to deep
Yes.
dive into your journey so far, and
Yes.
I've read and then listened to your background as a serial entrepreneur for a while, and
Yes.
you do have a background in venture capitalism as well.
Yes.
And for being an entrepreneur, and there must be a lot of choices available to you, right? So, and then what was the moment like when you felt like, no, I out of all these choices, I'm going to be that entrepreneur, and that too into this tech industry? Like, what was that moment like? Can you briefly
Oh,
elaborate that?
it's not a moment for me. It's, it's a disturbing moment. Yeah, we don't want to go into therapy here, but it's interesting, and I'll just quickly sum this up.
Yeah.
But,
Give it
but
a
I'll
try.
tell.
Come on.
Okay. So I just did a long explanation of this, and because it took me a long time to figure this out, um, and that uh, so I had a really hard childhood, let me say, so that it became useful to think of alternate realities. Okay, I discovered that I could say, hey, I'm going to look at this a different way, and so I got in the habit of doing that. I'm not saying that I was insane, but I just looked at it just differently. And so I remember in the fourth grade, I started inventing things. For example, I was like, why don't we have water fountains on our desk? Okay, so it was, inventing and, like inventions. And it was around the time that somebody was, the first man on the moon happened. And I'm like, if we can get a man on the moon, certainly we can solve this problem and get us water fountains on each desk. So I just got in the habit of improving where there were wants around. So that's what happened. I channeled frustration about my family situation into different kinds of persistence, creativity, and innovation. So that's how it happened. So one thing led to another. My whole career has been in new product development, research, eventually venture capital. Then on the other side of this table in entrepreneurship. So it wasn't a single decision. The first decision was the water fountain.
Okay. Hey, welcome, Nick, as well. I see that you finally made it through.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Okay. Camilla and I was discussing the background a little bit about her entrepreneurship journey, and then a little bit into the COVID situation as well. Moving on, I'm kind of thinking, like, as an entrepreneur in the tech sector, it's already a very challenging sector, right? And there's a lot of competition at the same time. There's a lot of opportunity. I see it that way. And being a women tech entrepreneur, what kind of challenge, what kind of unique challenge that you face compared to if it was just a male running the show? What kind of unique challenge have you faced so far?
In Savitude, in this company?
Overall, like,
Overall,
yeah.
oh, well. uh, well, so if I could generalize, so
Yeah.
when I first left venture capital and went to the entrepreneur side of the table, that was a while ago, and that was in the biomedical space. And I was on the founding team of 5 companies. 2 of them were predictive modeling companies where I was the original founder, where it was my idea. I put the team together. I, was instrumental in getting the funding, the plan, everything, the advisory board. But I knew well enough that there was no way that anyone was going to fund me as CEO because of my gender. And I hired my boss. I hired the CEO and I took on the job as VP of marketing. So I just recognized the world I was in and did that. But after 5 times and getting the equity of a VP of marketing, not a founder, I was really tired of it, and quit, and just said, I'm retired, I'm done with this. And that's when I went to fashion school and said, I'm going to work with women for a while. And I never intended to work again, but here I ended up starting a fashion label and discovered this problem, and started this company. But it was like, well, I'm definitely going to run this company. But, and I ran my fashion label and this one, but I'm still, it's still hard to get funding. So.
Yeah. Okay. With that awareness, with all the challenges you had, and in order to counter that, you must have created a support system or design a support system that would help you to keep on going, right? Have you thought about or how have you created that support system?
Well, I have an excellent co-founder and founding team here. Nick is incredible. And Jung Ha, who's also part of our founding team, and our advisory board, has been incredible in supporting us. My husband is really supportive. So, and I have this real big strength of resiliency that is unfathomable. So that, I don't give up. I'm like a dog with a bone. This is going to happen one way or the other. We move in the direction towards the answer. We may not have hit the answer at the first moment, but we're moving in the right direction. I believe we have the answer now. We have done something remarkable right now. That's so exciting. Nick has created something I never thought would ever happen, and it's working, and it's just incredible. So I'm thrilled we stuck with it, and we would only gotten here if we just stuck with it and kept iterating. Somebody told me long ago that when I was single, that you're not going to get what you want if you don't show up. You can read between the lines there. And so,
okay.
Okay, and so it's the same thing with entrepreneurship, that you're not going to succeed if you give up. And we have been doing this for here we are, and we have succeeded in something that many people have tried to do and haven't succeeded at. And so we're very excited.
Mm-hmm. And let's see that challenge now with Sabitude. What was the motivations, or what kind of challenge you saw that people are not able to solve it? I'm going to take this challenge and I'm going to solve it. Like, what was that challenge that you said, okay, this is something I must solve,
It goes back to the fashion label, where we dress, I did private clients. A lot of people came to my home to buy things, and they would like, this doesn't fit me. This, doesn't hang right on me. And I would feel badly, like I did a bad job making it. What's wrong with my pattern, whatever. I took it personally. So I from the beginning, I just thought, why didn't I do a better job at school? But I realized after years of studying it, so I had my label for 5 years, I realized, and they don't teach you this at school, that there are different body shapes. And size doesn't solve the problem, that you have to design different types of clothes for different body shapes. And I had no idea that that was a thought process. And it's a mind-boggling thought process. To do it properly, there's 729 different body shapes. And that's impossible. It's impossible to think about. And it's impossible to do. You can, of course, optimize it to make it easier, but I thought, this is a business opportunity. So then I have known Nick for many years, and I said, Nick, can you help me out? Do you think this is an interesting problem? And he said, geez, yeah. So I convinced him to, it was an interview, so this is making a long story short. So I got him interested, and he had ideas that were well beyond what I was thinking, and he solved the problem.
Okay, cool. Now I would like to then ask Nick about how he solved the problem.
Yeah, so it was really, like Camilla said, a very iterative process. So we started out just with sort of the basic idea that body shape and proportion was important, and we were going to do a marketplace. And so we started developing this recommendation technology for this marketplace. And so what we were looking at was the interaction between body shape and the design details and the shape and the silhouette of the clothing. And so as we started building out this recommendation engine for this marketplace, we realized that, you know, this technology might enable a marketplace, but really the broader impact was going to be taking that technology out to the people actually, you know, making and selling clothes themselves, and selling on more a B2B play. So what we did is we started focusing in on that, you know, our machine learning, our computer vision, and our fashion taxonomy, and really nailing those down. So we had, you know, obviously myself as an engineer and Camilla and Jung Ha as fashion designers sit down together and hash out a system that was designed specifically for this space. So a lot of machine learning applications take sort of generic systems and throw a bunch of data at them. And once you have all of that data, you get some reasonable results. What's really unique about our system is it was built with all of that domain expertise from the start. The domain expertise didn't just come in as data later. So that's been really a central tenet of the way that we've developed our system throughout, is to make sure that really the fashion and the engineering are working hand in hand to get something that really, you know, actually works for fashion and for women.
Right. And you mentioned about, you know, the other co-founders being the fashion designers themselves. Had you provided the variables, right? The different variables that you can think of at the beginning. And what was the thought process there about picking certain variables and then leaving out certain variables?
So it was very grounded in the interaction between body shape and design detail. I think Camilla can talk a little bit better about the principles involved there, but that was the grounding, and I'll let Camilla talk about it.
Go for it, Camilla.
Yeah, so yeah, we know where we've got it. So we did, it took years to figure out how to parse the right question. So we know the problem, the industry knows the problem is called fit. and that is in returns. There's between 30 and 70% of all online purchases are returned, and like 10 to 20% of in-store purchases are returned. And a lot of it is due to something called fit. And so most people think fit is size. And I knew that that was not true. And you may have bought something online and you had to return it, and stores have a questionnaire and they want to know why is it returned, and they have the wrong questions there. So we finally did an online survey to figure out the right questions to ask, and we were able to parse it between size and shape. And we figured out that 20% of returns are because of quality, and 44% of returns are because of body shape and design details that make you look bad, and 36% are because it's just the wrong size. And so if you get the right shaped garment for your, that's flattering for your body, size is really easy to figure out. But if you have a silhouette or any design detail that's going to make you look disproportionate, no size is ever going to look good on you. So it's really a fashion design problem. And so the more we started thinking about the problem, we had an aha moment where we thought the problem really is in the design studio. And so we finally came to the recognition that our first product was helping the consumer make a better decision, but our real solution to honor our mission was to help the designer, give her the tools to do a better job, because to design for all these body shapes really needs technology, because it's not humanly possible to do, because I tried to do it and it's not possible. She really needs AI to design for all these body shapes. So that's what we set off to do. Hopefully that's what we wanted to do. And that's what we've been doing for the last year. And we just finished doing it. So we succeeded, and we're really thrilled about it. So we've done something called, well, it's really AI design. So we really can create new designs from inspiration that are true to a brand's DNA, that can be influenced by trend, and it actually draws. So it really helps in the ideation process. So you could think of it as enhanced sketching.
Right.
Your eyes glazed over.
Yeah, no. A lot of things that you said is sort of quite clear, quite interesting.
Yeah.
The things that you said is like, you also think about the trends, right? The new design trends coming in, and how do you keep the track of it? Like, how do you feed in the information? Like, okay, this has been changed. Now we need to keep on track of that, right? Do you constantly feed those information to your systems? Like, what is the process there?
So a lot of our system is built on top of some really excellent visual recognition systems. So we're actually able to parse essentially any sort of arbitrary image and find garments in them, and find what the design details of those garments are. So we look at what's coming off of runway shows, what's coming through events, what's coming on social media platforms, and we're able to correlate all of that to the design details in the clothes, and figure out what design details are on the rise in a particular area, or on the decline, or maybe being seen together, things like that.
All right. And let's look into the stand at the moment as far as the implementation is concerned with your services. when you add new clients to your database, how do you propose this solution to your client? Like, is it more of a one-off sort of solutions, or it is more of a consumption of your API, or like how does that work?
So it's largely a consumption of our API. So on the front end with the recommendation that we were talking about, that is an API that the retailer can integrate with their website. And then we have, for the design intelligence, a API and a console that they can use to gain access to the design intelligence that we've created.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what sort of challenge do you face when you have added one client versus the other? I'm sure there are uniqueness when you are, let's say, going from one to other. And how are you dealing with that?
Yeah, so one of the biggest problems we saw early on, and part of why we built our system the way that we did, is that retailers and designers all use different words or different structures to mean the same thing. So a big part of our system is the ability to take just the images of the retailer's assortment and build that into our taxonomy. So one of the biggest challenges we've faced is normalizing that data into our taxonomy. I would say that's a challenge that we have overcome at this point. But that was definitely one of the biggest, going from retailer to retailer, is that difference in the way that they keep their data.
Yeah, I can imagine, because the same thing, definition may not be used in different, let's say, labels.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then perhaps when you're dealing with people from France, it would be totally different from the US. So I was just getting that idea, like there are different variables, and I'm sure you need a system that allows you to support that process of onboarding. Like what do you do there when you are onboarding a client? What kind of specifications you are looking for?
Yeah, so we are actually only looking for their images. So we've built the system to rely entirely on their product catalog images in terms of, so we look at their product catalog, their archives, any archival sketches that they have from their design process, and we're able to parse their brand DNA and their sketching style from that.
Okay. So how is the company doing so far, Camilla? And maybe this question is more appropriate to you.
So we've been in a development phase for the last period of time. Because as a startup, we have we're very small, and when we took the challenge to develop the design technology, we put the recommendation technology on hold, and just focused on doing this because we couldn't deal with two different competing products. So we've just been focusing on developing our design capability. We're just now have really a working demo now, MVP of the design technology, and we have a beta customer. So we'll be going into working with her on this product. And we have been talking to some large customers, prospects along the way. And now that we have, because it's been working, we've been able to create some summary demonstrations of what we can do, and I sent that out over the last several days. And the people that I've been talking to are like, "Hey, wait a minute, this is really interesting." So we have some interest from some very large players as well. So I think the next week might be pretty interesting.
Well, good luck with that. Okay. Okay.
From your lips.
It's a well-wisher's wish. Okay. Uh, now, so what's coming up for Savitude other than like meeting the prospects and then about the features? Like, what are the things that you said you thought of solving at the beginning? Now you've spent a
What
good
else?
amount of time. Yeah. So
What
what is
else?
coming
Yeah.
up? Yeah.
So one of the things we really want to do, and so we're the next thing we want to do is, so we've mentioned in passing this word trend, and so one of the things that we want to do is to build a complete 360 on how trend progresses, and I think we have a unique ability to be able to track trend as it enters the market and it progresses through all the channels, and as it goes across time and geographies. We can track that, um, and that becomes very interesting. Um, and with that kind of data, we'll be able to project where trends are going in the future. So that is useful for new collections, but it's also very useful for what our first application is, which is in for the design product. So now I'm going to come back to right now. One of the biggest challenges with COVID is there's so much excess inventory because who's been able to go shopping? And usually all of this goes into the landfill. And every year right now, so fashion is a $3 trillion business globally. And every year, $500 billion of clothes gets put in a landfill, which is totally unacceptable. And so our technology can take excess fashions and redesign them into new fashion so that it can go back and be resold. So we can make recommendations on how clothes that didn't sell can be easily redesigned into a new item. And then with our trend product, we can project what trend will be in fashion so that it can be designed to be in a new trend. And we can tell where that will be in fashion, and it can be sent to be sold in that geographic area. You follow? So that you can actually sell the item and not put it in a landfill. So we think we can have a real impact in improving the status of the earth and in profitability in the fashion industry with our technology.
Interesting what you just said. And what kind of reactions that you're getting from the leaders in the fashion industry when you reach out to them?
Yeah, so I just did a search on LinkedIn across sustainability leaders to connect with them, just to connect with them. And quite a few of them reached out back to me. I love what you're doing, so support your ideas, so I'm getting good response from them because we haven't really announced what we're doing, but just that reach out, I was really surprised with the positive response from doing that. And we're doing a roundtable with a leading industry think tank on July 1st. And they're very excited about doing it with us. We talked to a major, one of the top 3 consulting firms. They're very excited about this. So the ideas that we're talking about are really innovative and feasible, can really solve a problem designers don't like dealing with excess inventory. I mean, they've designed it, they don't want to touch it again. It's a real hard problem. Our technology makes it easy. And I understand why you don't want to touch it. I wouldn't want to do it. It's really a messy thing to think about. And we just make it easy. And it's kind of fun, actually. So why not? So we get good responses. And it's kind of fun. And if you think about it, it's really, if you think about music and video, in 1984, there were two bandmates, Peter and Evan, who used digital sampling of different musical instruments, to fund their band. And that ended up transforming the music industry, and as they created a music composer. And now every song you hear and every film you see uses their technology. And 3 years after that, a guy named Bill wanted to make video a better way, and he transformed the video industry. And 10 years later, the combined of those two companies was $1 billion in business. Every film and song you hear uses those technologies. So I think that that's what we're doing. We're like them. We're from the industry. We know the problem, and we're using our intimate knowledge of fashion in our solution, because we understand the complexities of fashion design, and that is what caused the problem, and that's how we're solving it. And I really think that we can really make a major change and contribution to the industry. What we're trying to do is get everybody to be able to find clothes that actually fits their body. We're trying not to have excess clothes in landfills. That's our goal.
Okay. Now, as far as the end consumer is concerned, when I look at your business model, correct me if I'm wrong, it's largely the retailers, right? If you think about it from the first-hand consumer is concerned, perhaps for you it's the retailers or the designers who are actively working in the industry. Those are your major customers, and of course the end result is your customers who are buying it. But for you, who are going to be able to support your system, perhaps they are the retailers and the designers. Correct me on that.
For right now, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And because the end consumer has nothing to do with understanding the whole process. Like for them, they would log on to their own retailer website, and they would be able to select the different products and how they would visualize themselves in wearing those clothes and so forth, right? So that they only see the end result. Yeah.
So we are selling to retailers and fashion designers, and that is and they sell to end users. So we sell to them, and both they and consumers, people who wear clothes, are both beneficiaries of our technology. I can see a day sometime in the future that our technology could be adapted to where there could be a consumer angle to what we do, many years ahead of ourselves, where there could be a gaming aspect to it, or some other, other kinds of things that we can do with our technology, where it can advance the advertising industry. We've talked about with people about many different kinds of applications of what we're doing. It can be used in many other industries. So I'm sure I'm getting away from what you asked, but your question made me think of those.
No, I always ask questions that doesn't make sense, or sometimes it does make sense, right? So that's me. And No, I was thinking about different application as such. Like, you've thought about a problem, and perhaps the similar kind of problem exists in the other industry, in the different forms. So I'm sure the same philosophy can be applied to different other problems. That's where the question was coming from. Yeah.
Well, that's actually how we got here, is that before this, I had done 2 other predictive modeling companies in the pharmaceutical industry, and that's how we kind of got here. Well, I didn't know how we could do this. I had done a clinical trial simulation company that went public, and a molecular modeling company that was acquired for $100 million a year after it was founded, after it was launched. So I had a sense, I said, Nick, there's some way that we could, and he finished the sentence, yeah, literally. I said, I don't know how, but he said, let me think about it. I said, good, think about it. So he often finishes my sentences.
And we have always built our system with extensibility in mind. So there are applications in other fields, for sure. But there's so many applications within fashion itself that we will be in fashion for a while.
Yeah, this industry itself is quite big, right? So
It's huge, yeah.
It's big. Like, people want clothes regardless of whether they actually want to wear it or not. They just want to buy clothes. So like Camilla mentioned, there are so many clothes that goes to the waste every single year. It means like there's a demand for that, right? So
Well, and there's the new on-demand manufacturing and custom manufacturing, and I think our technology really enables that kind of advances, because you can easily see someone sitting down with our technology in front with the manufacturer or the designer, side by side, creating it and then going right into production right there.
Right. So let's talk about the future for Savitude. Like, where do you see yourself, let's say a year or 2 years from now? Like, how do you see Savitude evolving from where you are now?
Well, right now, I think over the next 6 months, we will get through, I think, our beta testing, and then I think over the next couple of months, and then start moving into our sales. Given where we are and what we can do with the industry, I would hope that that could be less painful than we might think. I really think that the way the market is right now is for companies that can help in the current situation, where we can help with profitability, with sustainability. Companies have advantages, and we're very, very strong in both of those. We also help with customer satisfaction and reduce returns. So I think we have a lot of strengths that go for us. So we have a lot of arguments on our side. So I think we're one of those technologies that are a must-have now, not a like-to-have now. So I think that we'll be one of the ones that will survive this downturn in the economy. So in the next year, I think we'll get through the next few years, the next couple years of the downturn. I believe we'll raise some money over the next 6 months, and our hope is that we continue to grow and become a major player. I really believe we have a real possibility of being a very large company if we continue along this path. I am, unfortunately, we are the kind of company that could be attractive to some players, for acquisition, because that has happened to me in the past with the kind of technology that we have. Who knows what happens between now and then. Our goal is to help everybody move forward. So that's what we would hope to do.
Okay, and
so our hope is to get partners who think like us to work with us to help everybody move forward.
And with the whole situation now, have you seen a drop in curiosity over retailers, approaching you, or that has not changed?
We were in really interesting conversations in February and early March that were really very exciting. And then suddenly they stopped. This week, the pot is starting to stir again. Let's say that. So I think, they had said, give us time until May. So it looks like the end of May was the time
we're almost there.
Yeah, so we're almost over. Yeah, almost in June. It looks like June would have been a better guess, but yeah, I'm seeing some. One of our board, we have a board member who has been in touch with, deep involved in what's going on, and just says, and nobody is around. You cannot imagine how difficult it is inside. That right now, just many designers are laid off because they're not needed, because nothing is being done, and that's so unfortunate. And those people who are left are so busy that they have no bandwidth. I can't even imagine them having time to go to the bathroom, really. It's that kind of frantic busyness, because you're desperately trying to stay in business. So, we have to be able to get to the right people to tell them, look, we can really help you. We don't want to annoy you. We want to help you stay in business. Here's how. It's easy. We'll make it painless for you.
All right. I had all the questions that I can think of for today. It was definitely a pleasure to talk to both of you. I can only think of a few nice words than to say thank you very much for joining this session. And I want to wish all the best for Savitude and the future that comes together with it. I'm sure it would do great. The things that you just said, Nick, and also Camilla, you have a lot of aspirations, and I really hope that you get all the success. And next year, when we talk, you would already be in a very much comfortable position. I really, really want to wish that to you.
Thank you.